I'm Katie.
And I'm Laura.
And we are
Small Town Music.
We are two small town music teachers looking to help other small town music teachers.
So whether it's managing your day-to-day or advocating for your program, we're here to help.
Like and subscribe and follow along on our journey. Hi everybody, and welcome back to another Small Town Music summer edition. So hopefully this is good information that you will use in your school life, classroom life, all those good things. But yeah, today we're talking about budgeting and deciding how to purchase things through the school year, especially if you're a new teacher or if you're in a new school with a new system of budgeting, purchasing, just a new budget, all those good things.
How should I do this?
Right.
How am I gonna? In our state, how should I do this?
Legislation. Correct. In our state, we got some new legislation that is going to affect our budgeting quite a bit. So that's kind of on our brains very specifically. Like,
and so hopefully, hopefully we can help you through that. So, I guess. I don't know. So what's the first thing you got to do whenever you first get? I don't know. So what's the first thing? Walk into your job. What do you need to do? First thing, walk into your job. What do you need to do?
If we're talking budget-wise, I mean, figure out what you have. Figure out, like, is there a district account, and what can you buy with the district account? Is there an ECA, extracurricular activity account? Is there any other account with the school that has money that you are able to use? Do you have a booster account? How much is in that booster account? How much in that booster account is student money that we have band and choir individual student accounts. So every student has an account, whether there's $0 or $100 or whatever. And so you may have, let's say you have 15,000 in a booster account, but with your 30, 40, 50 students, how much of that is like quote unquote their money to like buy instruments, buy costumes, go on the trip, buy reeds, pay for choir shoes, pay for the end of the year amusement park fun trip, So like how much actual money do you have? And then what can you buy with each account? Because in a school, there's so many like rules and procedures and, I can't buy uniforms with the district account, but I can with the ECA account.
We can't necessarily help you with specifically is because every school is so different, and that was one of the things that took me a little bit of time to learn.
Every school, every state,
so we're really fortunate that our district does give us funds every year. We have a like high school vocal music and like a high school band district line item that we can use. I know a lot of my small town counterparts around here don't get that. They have to fundraise everything they have, and so that's something you need to know. Like, are you given money, or are you going to have to raise everything? And then, then you have that activities account that often. So your district account, at least at our school, I cannot deposit into my district account really. Like it's a line item on the budget.
Right, I can't. Yeah.
That I can manipulate. Like I have to send invoices to our district treasurer, and then those items have to be approved by our school board before the check gets written. So that's tricky, like because a lot of places, if they want their money right away, then you've got to figure out, like, okay, well, am I gonna can I get an invoice for this, or am I gonna have to even like pay for it out of pocket and then get reimbursed for it, which I've done a lot in my career.
I know for our district account too, that at the end of the fiscal or the calendar year, that money goes away. Like if you spent all of it, or if you spent $1 out of that account, they don't
roll over. Like it's a line item.
Put it into next year. It doesn't like
by like the end of October.
Yeah, it doesn't roll over.
So they have time by like the end of October.
Yeah.
So make sure you know.
So it's like January to October. Yeah.
make sure you know, like, first off, how much money do you have, but by when does that need to be spent?
Yeah, I know. And so, again, every school is different. Like, we have a colleague in the area that, like, she has to have it spent and ready to go by, like, August, or, like, when school starts. It's like she already has to have the number ready to go.
The enrollment in your classes. I know another colleague of mine that she doesn't find out how much district money she's getting for the school year until about the second week of school, because until they finalize all the class enrollment, and then she gets X amount of dollars per student put in her. She actually happens to be an art teacher, but put in her art account to know how many supplies she can buy. So all things that you got to ask the questions and find out.
Yeah.
All things that you got to ask the questions and find out.
Yeah, make friends with
the
HR person, budget person, treasurers, secretaries, custodians. Yeah. Yeah. So I personally try to spend my district budget as soon as possible, so then like it's done, it's out of the way, and I've taken care of that. And then I go and use our booster account but like. Our booster account, I can buy anything. I could buy pizza for the whole band every day if I wanted to. Don't do that. But yeah,
I tend to save my district budget for big stuff. So on the choir end, I don't have instruments to repair necessarily, but I do often need to buy some new sound equipment, or if I have a big order of music, like I've done like all my spring concert ordering, and I have a JW Pepper bill that's $300 or $400, just because I have to send it to the treasurer and it has to get approved. So I tend to try not to send, and that's just my own personal preference. I mean, they would do whatever, but I tend to try to save my district budget for those bigger line items, which means it's often the beginning of October, and I'm like texting my sound guys like, hey guys, is there anything else we need to buy, because I still have a couple $100 in the account. I need to buy some new cables. Anything. It's a general good rule of thumb is that you need to spend your budget. Whenever schools come around to re-up their budgets, they're gonna look and see like, the choir only spent $500 of their $1,000 budget. There's a place that we can save some money. Let's only give them $500 from now on, because that's clearly all that they need.
Like they say, they're not gonna take that away from you, but
and if I saw that year after year this one particular line item wasn't being used, then I would reallocate that money to someone else who seems to really need it. So make sure that you use, especially that use it or lose it district money. If you're lucky enough to get it, make sure you use it each year.
Yeah. Yeah, and also just ask annoying questions about the budget, because I know like in our school, like other departments, they didn't know they had like a district amount that they could buy things with. They were just like either begging other people, like parents and supporters of their department, or trying to do other things, and they had no idea that there was district funds available. So ask and ask again and ask again, and ask the superintendent, and ask your building principal, and ask your HR treasurer, ask your athletic treasurer, just ask everybody, and don't be afraid to ask about money.
That at least we're lucky enough to have is we also will, all teachers at our school get a classroom allowance every year. So it's what I think they just upped it.
Just like to buy classroom supplies. So like
they may have upped it a little bit, but
it's like 85.
It's just money that every teacher gets, and you can either like order it from somewhere and they will pay the invoice, or I think most teachers just go buy things and then turn in the receipts and they get reimbursed for it. But that's really nice. So if you want to make sure that you have pencils, and I mean, I always do things like keep some like a few like hygiene products on hand, or just something fun like the snacks, or because I have kids coming
Some
right before
snacks
lunch
or-
or whatever, and they're really hungry, or first thing in the morning. I got our like ribbon, our like elementary ribbon things. I put that on the classroom supplies. Really
Oh,
anything.
yeah.
So your school may have something like that. So make sure you ask if that money's available. Make sure you take advantage of it.
So make sure you ask if that money's available. Make sure you take advantage of it.
Okay, moving on now to, so like you figure out how much money is available to you. Maybe it's more than you thought. Maybe it's less. Hopefully it's more. But now you need to go through and either like some kind of document, spreadsheet, something, figure out like all of the events and things that you do each year that cost money. So you can have like, I need, and I like kind of need, and then I want, or like a dream list, and kind of figure out like how much do you need to spend. If your district is like, well, we don't have any money for you and you don't really have a good band booster and you have to fundraise everything yourself. So like, do you need, to repair the school tuba that nobody's playing? Probably not right now. We can save that. But do you like not have a concert snare drum for your high school band? So like you need a snare drum. For us, like we have our state school music fees that are a pretty good chunk.
Our like state membership. So we're in Indiana, so our ISSMA membership each year, and it's about it's about $500 between, because we have to pay separate for our middle school and our high school, and so that has to come out.
The middle school and high school,
to basically alternate years. Like one year she'll take it out of her budget, and the next year I'll take it out of mine.
Yes.
So maybe you have to pay for those things. That's another question to ask.
Maybe you have to pay for those things. That's another question to ask.
Right. And so those are like, are you doing solo and ensemble contest and concert band contest and like marching band field show contest, and there's like jazz contest?
Show choirs,
Yeah. Which,
organizational contests.
yeah, for us, so we pay the ISMA fee, and then we also pay each, like if you do solo and ensemble, there's a solo and ensemble entrance fee. If you do concert band or choir contest, there's a separate entry fee for that. And so if you're kind of looking at your program and you're like, man, that's going to be like upwards of almost, $1,000 between the ISMA fee and all the entrance fees. I don't know if we can pay that. It's okay. Like,
so it's again deciding that, is that a
you don't have to. Like, there's no
need to belong to the state organization
Yeah.
and participate. I think they're very valuable things. We both do. But if it's a budget item, I mean, you can pass on entrance fees like to the kids. Like solo and ensemble. It's $15 a solo. I
Yeah,
charge that
absolutely.
to their choir account. Like, some things can get
Yep.
passed on.
Charge that to their choir account.
Mhm.
But yeah, so the state entrance fees, thinking about like transportation. So like, are you going on a field trip? Well, even if it's a free
Yes.
concert somewhere, you got to pay for the bus. And so asking questions like, how much
You
is
still
that
have to pay
going
for the bus.
cost? And it just depends on your school and what they pay mileage and hourly for the bus drivers, and
what they pay mileage and
If you can,
for the bus drivers.
yeah, if you can drive a minibus, then like do that. Yeah, we do that a lot. I know some people that's kind of a hard line for them. They're like, no, I don't want to drive. And I've been there before. I have been that person, but I'm to the point now, like, I'd rather save the money and do a fun thing with my students than worry about like driving. And
we've
it's fine. It works out.
Minibus only holds like 14 kids, but we've taken where we've both driven, or we have a a fellow teacher or a parent that has been like okayed by the school district
Yeah, make sure you get, if you're having someone else drive the minibus, they need to be like approved by the district. Don't be shady.
To be okayed.
Yeah.
And they copy their driver's license and all that good
Papers
stuff.
you sign and Yep. All right. So what if you have no district budget, no boosters, nothing? You walked into this job and there is $0 that anyone has set aside for you, and you're like, but I want to buy music. I need to repair instruments. I need
step one is
A, B, C, D, E, F, G on my list.
And let them know that these are the things that you need to make sure that their students are getting the best education possible. So have that conversation. Let them know that you're in need. They might have other funds that they can pull from available, or it just lets them know, hey, in the future, we need to work on making this a line item. I think the next step then is to
please
reach
plan
out
for
to
this.
your
Yeah.
parents and get a booster program going if there's not already one in place.
Yeah.
If there is, awesome. Meet with them, figure out a game plan to get some fundraising going. I feel like that's a whole other episode. We talk about all the fundraisers that you can do, but get some fundraising going. If there is no booster, you gotta have a parent meeting. Have a parent meeting, get them there, get them excited about you. You're likely a new face to them, so
you're likely a new face to them.
Mm-hmm.
So
don't try to start implementing like major mandatory fees right away, because chances are if there's not money from the district, then it's maybe a lower socioeconomic area, and that can be a really tough thing for even like, a $20 fee from every kid would make a huge difference, but $20 could make or break a family, and they may quit band and never want to talk to you again.
My kids and my parents this every year.
Feel very strongly, and I tell my kids
finances should never be a reason for a kid to not do music, and so I don't care if that means I have to figure out a way to fund their concert black outfit or pay for their field trip. I just don't. I mean, if we do like a big trip, then that's a whole other thing. But I would so much rather figure out a way and make sure that every kid gets to participate. So even if you do have to do a fee, I do a $20 fee a year.
Even if you do have to do a fee, I do a $20 fee.
Yeah, I do a little more for high school because we do. I just do more things with high school. Like we do IU Band Day. We do. We're doing an Indians game. We're doing, we're just doing more stuff. And I also include that, like the marching band shoes fee in there.
I don't include any of those things. Like the $20 for me is just to go into my account to help me pay for stuff. If I need, to help me buy music, to help me, repair something quickly that needs repaired.
Repair something
but
that needs repaired.
But I try to make it very clear that anybody that and I do the fee and I include all those things because I don't want to have to continually ask every other month for more money from people. I want one flat fee at the beginning and say like, hey, these are all the things this includes. Like your kids get food at this event, they get a field trip, and like I include it. Like we try to do a concert at IU down the road. I try to I include like the t-shirt, I include the solo and ensemble entrance fee, and so it's all like then like they don't have a choice to say no necessarily, but then I'm also not begging parents for money constantly. Like it's already in there. They've theoretically already paid it at the beginning, but it's also it's to help just offset the cost of being in band.
So really it all comes down to it's kind of budgeting 101, like hopefully you're doing for your household,
it's kind of budgeting
of figuring out what is your income, and then but I think it's important to do because otherwise you're going to get to the end of the school year or the end of the fiscal year.
Otherwise you're going to get to the end of the school year or the end of the fiscal year.
We had planned this trip to the amusement park, and we don't have money to pay for the bus. So making sure that you so making sure that you
we were going to do contests, but I'm in a deficit now and I can't afford to do contests, and I have to let all my kids down.
We can save money. So we're talking about maybe considering not being a member of those organizations if the membership fee.
Considering not being a member of those organizations if the membership fee.
Arranging your own music. So my instrumentation, I've talked about this a little bit before, that like I just have a small, interesting niche band. Like I don't have saxophones. I'm going to have one trumpet in high school band next year. I'm going to have one low brass member. So finding music that highlights the kids that I have, but also like for me, I really like flex band arrangements. I know a lot of people have a lot of different opinions on that, but those work well for me. But it's also like, can you take the music you have and rearrange it instead of trying to buy a bunch of new music for this one particular year? Because music adds up so fast.
I don't have a
I've done that a lot.
B
Mhm.
in my, I don't have a bass in my high school choir, so yeah, so I have a ton of SATB music, but I don't have any B's to sing that part. So
Right.
so doing a lot of, you know, figuring out like, can we just cut it
Yeah.
out? You know, okay, let's have the altos sing it, you know, up an octave. You know, just kind of rearranging some things and making it work. And yeah, like dig through that library. You know, having new music is fantastic, but I mean, if you're like me, you inherited a huge amount of music. Some of it which is really cool and like, hey, let's revive it, and some of it is
Yeah.
no, and that's okay. And that's okay. Like,
There's a lot
not
of stuff
all
I pulled
arrangements are
out and
timeless.
said, nope, I don't want to do that.
Really like dig through, find the gems in your own library that you can deal with. You can also borrow music from your friends. There's nothing wrong with
Yes.
now you can't like have them make copies and send it to you, like that's copyright infringement. But if they want to give you loan
Yeah.
you a folder of music, that is totally good too. So ask,
Oh, yeah.
you know, ask your, you know, the school down the road, like, hey, did you have a piece that you loved last year? Can I borrow it so we can do it this year? Because you know they're not going to be using it. So
Can I borrow it
so ideas, ways to save a little bit of money.
Yeah. Right.
Ideas, ways to save a little bit of money.
And again, are there things that you like literally band or choir or music class will not happen if you do not buy these things?
Yeah.
So then go to your district and like hound them about it, and your parents. Don't hound your parents necessarily, but ask.
I'm thinking about like
beg,
sound equipment.
steal. No, don't
if
steal.
you don't have sound equipment to help amplify, especially
Yes.
your choir, but
don't have sound equipment to
you know,
help amplify,
check out like
especially
area
your choir,
churches or
you
other
know,
organizations that
check
maybe
out,
you
like,
can borrow.
area churches,
Borrow sound equipment. It's like
organizations that
building
maybe
those
you can
relationships.
borrow.
We've
yeah,
talked
the
about that
borrowing,
before. One of the
Borrow
beautiful
sound
things
equipment,
about a
like,
small
building
town,
those
being a
relationships.
small
We've talked
town
about that
music
before.
teacher,
One of the
is the
beautiful
community.
things about a
And
small
so,
town,
you know,
small town
reach out and
music
say,
teacher,
hey,
is the
do you have a
community.
sound system
Yeah.
we can borrow? Do you have a microphone we
try-
can borrow
Reach
for
out
our
and say,
concert
hey,
and build those
do you have a sound
relationships?
system we can borrow? Do you have a microphone we can borrow for our concert and build those relationships?
We both try really hard to keep very good relationships and to know who our colleagues are in our area to for a lot of reasons. Like, one, it's good to connect because like we all have the same problems and teaching is hard, but also like if I need to borrow a marimba or if I need to borrow XYZ and vice versa for them, like I've loaned my chimes out to a school district down the road and they've
I think
loaned me
whenever it
things,
comes
and it's
to making it on a
yeah.
low budget, especially,
I think
those
whenever it
relationships
comes
are
to
really
making
key
it
here.
on
So
a
I guess
low
that's
budget
kind of
especially,
where we're headed, is that
those relationships
know
are really key
know
here.
what
So I
you
guess that's
have,
kinda
know what
where we're
you
headed
need to
is that
spend,
know
what you want to spend
know
on,
what
so
you
you can
have,
kind of make
know
those long,
what
like,
you need
what
to
is something
spend,
we're gonna fundraise
what
for
you
a
wanna
few
spend on,
years
so you
to
can kinda
buy a
make
new
those long,
timpani,
like, what is something
or we're gonna fundraise a few
for
years to buy some new
years to buy a
risers.
new timpani.
So
Yeah.
you can
Or we're
plan
gonna
those
fundraise
long-term
a few years
goals,
to buy some new risers.
but also
So
you know, so you can
plan those
build those
long-term goals,
relationships, so you can
but
get
also,
by, you know,
so
help
you
each other
can
out.
build
And
those
if someone
relationships so you can
calls
get
you
by, you
asking
know,
to
help
borrow
each other
something
out.
that you
And if
have,
someone calls
help
you
them out too.
asking to borrow something that you have, help them out too.
Yeah, absolutely. Be a good neighbor. All right.
Let
So
us
I
know
think that
if you have
concludes
any
our
specific
budgeting.
questions. If your
chit-chat.
situation,
Let us
if you
know
think is
if you have
unique,
any
let us know, and we're
specific
happy to help you
questions,
think
if your
through it.
situation,
We've been doing this
if
for
you
a
think
while
is
now,
unique,
so
let us know, and we're happy to help you think through it. We've been doing this for a while now. So.
Yeah, absolutely.
places.
Email
We're
us,
around.
TikTok, Instagram, all the things. Yeah, so find us, like, subscribe, rate, review. We appreciate it. Thank you for listening and or watching. Bye.